Today's topic is growing globally without knowing a recession. Now, you really need to pick up the pace a bit, and what I mean is it's time to focus on overseas markets. Honestly, I used to always bet everything on China, really staking my life on it. I staked everything on China, but now that someone like ㅡㅡㅡ, a second version, has emerged, the pace is just incredibly fast. It's been less than a month since they joined, but the number of new members is already approaching 100. They're all Chinese, and now, everyone, this is real. What's important is that I matter. The people above matter, and the people below matter. It's like when you clap your hands and they fit perfectly together. There's no way the speed won't pick up. Does Atomy not make money? Absolutely not. Because if you get the direction exactly right, you can create an incredible synergy with minimal cost. That's why I've always said to focus on one core person, both on the left and right, one each. So instead of spreading yourself thin, focus on one person. In the case of China, since a business license is necessary, the person who gets the business license from the start inevitably becomes the one to lead the group. But it's been less than a month, and I've already created one person on the left. We're also preparing someone on the right now. Right now, it's in the application stage. So everyone, what's really amazing about Atomy is how many people does it take for someone like that to appear? How many people do you need to make a certain amount of money? There is no right answer to this. With Atomy, it just flows smoothly depending on what kind of person comes along. So right now, things are progressing so quickly for me in China that in reverse, I'm actually learning from my partner over there. Because of that, I'm picking up on the culture, terminology, and the kinds of messages that resonate within Atomy over there. Even in English, if you use business-related words and say, let's do business, people don't want to do it. They outright refuse. They don't even want to create an ID. But if you say, let's just be consumers, they do it casually. And it's the same with Atomy in China. Rather than just saying, just sign up, each country has its own language that works well. But there's a specific word for get in early or position yourself early. So I've been learning just that part a little bit, and I'm studying so I can use it too. So sponsors can always learn something from their partners as well. So in each country, there are those cultural aspects and self-leaders unique to that country. When those kinds of people come together and unite, the speed of growth becomes explosively fast. That's why I'm also learning about China step by step now. So as things gradually become more established and eventually a center is set up, we'll be able to nurture even more people. And let's say Chinese partners start appearing under you as well. Then what happens? You've created a successful person. From then on, things become easier. But my goal has always been to create a diamond in New Zealand, right? So after that, I thought, now I can do this in any country. But what was it that I kept waiting for? It was China. So now I'm starting to build up China. And once I establish a leader there, from then on, everything starts to flow smoothly. Europe, Japan, there's no problem with those. Why? Because I've already captured the biggest markets. Once you secure the English-speaking and Chinese-speaking markets, that's it. So you have to keep expanding your own territory. You understand, right? Anyway, in Atomy, it's now my 10th year. And as I've watched what I've done with Atomy from 2017 until now, the business environment for Atomy is getting better and better. Now, how exactly is that so? Well, let me explain. First, everyone, wow. If you take a really good look at what we have here on this display, can you see the screen? Yes. Would you like to see the first picture? My ID has reached 300,000 points. And the left side has reached 300,000 points. And on the right side, it's 0 points. So in the past, would you have received a commission or not? You wouldn't have received it, right? But now, even if you just register one person, whether it's Soon's mom, her daughter, or her dad, even if you only sign up one person and the points are 0, you can still receive a commission. Wow, everyone, this is really amazing. Originally, the first commission was 900,000 points, but now it's changed to 600,000 points. So for those who used to do 900,000 points, do you think 600,000 points will be easier or harder? It's so easy, so easy. But for those who haven't tried reaching 600,000 points, it might be harder. But gradually, what kind of environment do you think it will become? It's going to get much easier now. And now partner managers are saying things like this. For those who used to do 900,000 points, they say, oh, I get the commission so quickly now. That's how things have changed. But what you need to check here is that this is only from April 8th onwards. Because at first, I also didn't realize it was from April 8th. I thought, oh, since I've reached 300,000 points, as long as it shows up on the left, I just need to sign someone up on the right and I'll get the commission. But it didn't work. And when I asked the head office, they said it's only valid from April 8th onwards once my volume newly gained reaches 300,000 points and then the left side also reaches 300,000 points, then it's okay. Or if my newly gained points reach 300,000 and the right side's points reach 300,000, even if the left side's points are at 0, as long as you just sign up one person, like Soon's mom or Medal's mom, you can receive the commission. Wow, so what should we do from now on, everyone? Have a look on your lineage. Open your lineage and starting from April 8th, look for anyone who has reached 300,000 points. So if someone has reached 300,000 points, then check their downline. Usually in that case, you just go straight down the line like this. Then you think, oh, this person will receive a commission. So you quickly call those people and what do you say? Soon-young, if you quickly sign up one person on your right side, you'll get a commission. If you say that, will they do it or not? They sign up right away. By doing this, as you gradually change that person's mindset to be more positive, you just need to guide them so they can switch to the marked change. You understand, right? You must make sure that person has at least one person signed up on their right line. And here's another tip for you all. Usually, this just goes straight down in a single line, but people with good connections and some ability tend to spread it out to both sides. What you must not do here is make a mistake. You should have them put points on only one side. Because, let's say this side has 300K, but if 200K goes into the right side, then it's me, left and right, 200K each, right? Do you know what happens then? A commission is generated, but only those 200K points just flush out. Isn't that a waste or not? It's such a waste. Do you know why I'm telling you this? Because I did that. I didn't know, and I wasn't thinking at all. Because my partner was so good at signing people up, and sales kept coming in under them, I was so overwhelmed that I couldn't keep track of it. So my partner contacted me, director, wouldn't it be better to do it the next day? But since I wasn't the one who placed the order and it just showed up, I didn't understand at first. So I said, oh, I didn't place the order. Then since I said I didn't place the order, they just said, oh, really? And let it go. But when I looked at it, it felt like such a waste, 200,000 points. It really is a waste. If you do it this way, you can accumulate the bonus one more time. How much is 200,000 points worth? That's 400,001. So don't miss out on things like this. And you know there are people who try to build up both sides from the beginning. For those people, please tell them to focus their points on just one side at first. If you try to spread out to both sides and put them in carelessly, you'll end up losing out like this. You understand, right? You really need to gain a lot of experience with this. Actually, this is something that happened to me recently. So now that I look back, it feels like such a waste. That's why, if you go through a lot of trial and error, you won't forget it. All right, next. Oh, and everyone, we've now opened in 26 countries. So when you reach 600,000 points, you start earning commissions. But there are some countries where this doesn't apply. I checked which countries those are, and I heard that China is not included. So what should we do about China? For China, your volume needs to be 300,000 points as originally set. You need 300,000 on the left and 300,000 on the right for the first commission to be generated. At first, I also thought that since you are now doing global business, if you just teach things the Korean way, you might run into some trial and error. Because this could be different, since the laws are different in every country. Except for China, all the other open countries like Japan and the US are the same. But only in China, to receive your first commission, you need 300,000 on the left and 300,000 on the right. You understand what I mean, right? Now, moving on to Azamol. Here's some news about Azamol. The chairman mentioned this at the recent Success Academy. Azamol is now expanding into the global market. But in Korea, due to multi-level marketing laws, if the amount exceeds 2 million won, commissions cannot be paid. In other words, points cannot be given. But if Atomy members don't receive points, is there any merit for them? Is there any appeal for them to make purchases? They usually don't, right? You don't, do you? So in Korea, there are some restrictions like this. If it goes over 2 million won, there could be cars and all sorts of things involved. However, with Azamol in countries like China or the US, even if the amount exceeds 2 million won, they can still give points. So during this Success Academy, the chairman mentioned this. He said that in places like China and the US, it doesn't matter. So where do you think they're planning to expand Azamol? He said he wants to grow it globally. As soon as you hear this, what should you be thinking? Wow, I need to get a membership quickly. Once the membership increases, all daily necessities will be available there. Even all the home appliances, everything, from cheap items to expensive ones, everything will be available. Gas stations, then car insurance, fuel vouchers, even high-priced home appliances, all of that will be included. And if all of that accumulates as points, what do you think will happen if this expands worldwide? So as soon as I saw that, I thought I need to get Chinese people to sign up quickly. And right now, in China as well, they're running all kinds of promotions for their 6th anniversary. So without me even realizing it, Chinese consumers, what did I tell you last time? I told you to make use of group chat rooms, didn't I? So now the group chat for China has almost 90 people in it. As more and more consumers and even a few business partners are joining, there are a lot more questions coming up in there. People are asking things like, there's a promotion going on right now. Are there any special benefits? Since Atomy is holding a lot of events, sales are also increasing globally. But in the case of China, everyone. Since there are 2 IDs for Chinese people, you might be curious about who placed an order. But because there are 2 IDs, with the ID that appears in the lineage, we can't see who placed the order in China. So even though sales are surging in China right now, I have no idea who is placing the orders. Isn't that just amazing, everyone? I have no idea. But sales are skyrocketing right now, seriously. It's driving me crazy. Because I want to manage that too, you know? You want to know who did it, what kind of person they are, and which region they're from, right? But as things started to really take off, at first, when it was expanding little by little, I used to check each one myself. But now, since the number of partners suddenly increased by 100 at once, things got so hectic that they stopped sending me the IDs. So I can't see them anymore. Now I have to ask about each one individually, like who is this person? So you really need to communicate well. And currently, Atomy has a logistics system in 60 countries. Now they're rapidly expanding the logistics system even further. So then, as business owners like us, what should we do going forward, everyone? That's what's important. I mean, the company is doing all this, so what should we be doing? What's important is this. You need to clearly distinguish between what the company does and what business owners like us do, and work accordingly, everyone. Do we really need to do what the company is already doing? No, we don't. We don't need to build the system ourselves. That would be foolish, really foolish. There's no efficiency in doing that. We just need to make good use of the great environment the company has created for us for free and find our own opportunities. So what is it that we need to do? We need to increase our membership. So how are we going to increase our membership? That's what's important. But now we're in the age of AI. So you have to work both online and offline. Even just 10 years ago, Atomy used to say, meet people first, and meet people even for the 100th time. You still need to meet people in Atomy. You need to meet people offline, but now you also have to do it online. Everyone. Now, it's not just me who has to do this. Now, even among my partner CEOs and those around them, even people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s say things like this. I'm studying AI right now. I'm attending classes. I'm listening to lectures. They say things like this, and I've learned it too. And as they say this, they're actively using AI on their own platforms and creating things themselves. So for example, someone made a video about health and uploaded it, and that video just blew up. As a result, the number of views increased and the number of subscribers also shot up. Now, saying things like, I'm too old to do this, at this point, I think that's a bit too late. Now, instead of saying, I'm too old so I can't do it, you have to do it because that's the way the world is moving. You understand, right? Then the chairman said this. If you look here, AI is easy. AI is approachable. If you try AI, you can do it. What did he say was the reason people can't do it? It's because you haven't tried. That's why you can't do it. Now, even in companies, it's considered essential. So there's constant talk about how to utilize AI. If you look here, they've created 8 easy ways to put AI into practice for growth. I'll upload it for you again. You need to ask your questions specifically. That's right. You know this, right? I'm also studying Chinese right now using ChatGPT and Gemini. I'm using them like assistant instructors. And if I just write a sentence and say, translate this for me, it just translates it. But if the sentence is long, it gives me a headache. So sometimes, even though my head is about to explode, ChatGPT gives me the result I want, but other times it doesn't. But if you want it to give you an accurate answer, you have to ask a lot of questions. In other words, you have to write your prompts in detail. So what do? I always make sure to add, explain it to me like I'm a beginner. And I write out very specifically, asking it to break down grammar, translation, and pinyin one by one in detail. Then ChatGPT writes everything out for me just like that. But if I just keep it in my head and vaguely say, do the grammar and translation for me, it just does it its own way. Then it doesn't come out the way I want. And even when I'm preparing lecture materials, if I just say, make it like this, it doesn't do it for me. So now you have to explain things to ChatGPT in detail. But here's how I thought about this. When you do the Atomy business, you tend to do things in a very rough and ready way, right? But if you keep practicing how to use this AI, then it also helps with Atomy. Why? Because you keep asking questions and trying to explain things in detail, you stop doing things carelessly. In the past, you could just get by doing things roughly. But now you can't just do things carelessly anymore. I've mentioned this before, right? Why? Now, you can find everything with just a little bit of searching. If people look for what they want, everything comes up, and since there's so much information, there are a lot of all-rounders now. That's why you can't just do things carelessly anymore. If you keep saying, I don't like it, then you can't study. You have to make money, right? So even if you don't want to do it, what do you have to do? You have to do it. Use it consistently every day. You know, there's this thing. For those of you who really haven't used it, it's unfamiliar, but for people like me who use it a lot now, you even start to depend on it. Right now, people around my age, my peers, they even share all their emotions with ChatGPT. So it becomes something you really rely on and trust. But if you use it well, it's really great. And you can apply it directly to your business and use the tool according to your purpose. I don't just use one tool either. I use ChatGPT too. And I use Gemini as well. But here's the thing, since I use Gemini the most, it knows me the best. When I want to check something in more detail or when something doesn't quite fit, I use ChatGPT together with it. But then it knows me less than Gemini does. So, use whatever suits you, but make sure to use the tool appropriately. You get it, right? And look at good examples. Benchmark them. In other words, see good results and use them as benchmarks. What's really great about this benchmarking is that I also want to keep expanding into China. I want to expand Atomy globally, and I kept saying China, China all the time. But I realized I was just chasing after clouds. The reason is, in China, you can't really use YouTube or Instagram. They're blocked, so you can't use KakaoTalk either. I knew that, but what do people in China actually use? I don't think I even thought to look into it. But now that I realize I have to do it, it's a completely different platform. So I should have been working on that all along. It might seem late, but I don't think it's too late. It's been a year and a half since things like Xiaohongshu came to Korea. So it's definitely not too late. But then what should I do about it? How should I expand and develop this? I've been thinking about it, and you need a role model for this kind of thing. But then my partner, the boss, sent me a video of a star master who's currently working as an MC at the Yantai Success Seminar in China. So I subscribed to that person's channel and have been watching their videos. That's how I learned how it's done, and now I'm benchmarking them myself. So I decided that I should create my own style. That person is Chinese, but as a Korean, I thought I should develop this in my own way. Because there aren't many Koreans using Xiaoshu right now, I thought this was a great idea. That idea just came to me. It's a really good approach. And everyone, you need to do business in China. The reason is, when I was looking into things like Qualcomm in Korea, I saw that Qualcomm was kind of like a club. And I wanted to learn the language by actually meeting people and using it in real life. But in China, it's almost disappeared. There are only a lot of Japanese and English options. So even though we know that the Chinese market is still good for our country and people have tried, there really aren't that many Koreans who are actually trying to do something in China. But on the contrary, that's what I thought. We know this market is good, then we should go for it. English is just too difficult. It's saturated, completely saturated. That's what I thought. And because Korea and China are similar in terms of culture, appearance, and tendencies, I think Atomy is right to do business with China. And what happens if we succeed in China? Chinese people are everywhere in the world. The Chinese diaspora basically dominates Malaysia and the Asian region. That means we can look at a huge market. So you need to start preparing now. You understand, right? So everyone, here's the thing. You need to understand the platform first. So what should I do now? You have to do both online and offline. But right now, we don't even know what we have. Is that okay? Of course not. That's why I'm going to explain everything to you one by one today. If you look here, what you need to think about is that you have to know yourself first. What languages do I know how to use? Is it just Korean for me? It's okay even if you only speak Korean. Because when I first started, I could only speak Korean too. Even now, my Chinese isn't very good. Just a little, just a tiny bit. But even if you can't speak Korean, why is Atomy still possible? It's because you can find immigrants living in that country, Koreans. So you can spread overseas through those people. How did I get started in New Zealand? I did it through Koreans. So through Koreans, now foreigners have started to spread it, right? So you should check which languages you can speak. In my case, it's Korean and Chinese. So in my vision, I want to conquer all of China in the world. And through those Chinese people, they can also speak English, right? So I want to expand to English-speaking countries around the world as well. First of all, you need to have this initial vision. Let's say you only speak Korean. Then, through Koreans, to which country do you want to expand? Which country is the right fit for you? You need to analyze that. If you look here, there's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of them, right? As for Facebook, the countries where people use it the most are India, the United States, Indonesia, Brazil, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Let's say I have a lot of Filipino partners. Then what should you do? You should use Facebook. I have Filipinos under my network, but that person keeps uploading Atomy videos. But where do they upload them? They upload them on Facebook. I didn't really pay much attention to Facebook, but these days I'm trying to pay more attention to it. Why? Because I have Filipino partners now, and I can't just ignore them. So for Facebook, it's good for those who have Filipino partners and also for people from Indonesia and similar countries. And then for Instagram, there are people from India, the US, Brazil, Indonesia, and Japan. These days, I can feel that sales from Japanese members are starting to increase little by little. It's not like it used to be. But what I realized while running my business is this. In New Zealand, the actual natives don't really do business. It's the immigrants and Koreans, Chinese, Filipinos, Malaysians, and Taiwanese living in New Zealand who are currently doing the Atomy business. It's the same in Japan. The business hasn't really taken off there either. There was a time when I was introduced to a Yakuza wife. And when you do Atomy, you end up being introduced to all sorts of people. So I was introduced to this Yakuza wife because she apparently had experience in networking. But what she said was, since I had sent her some Korean cosmetics as a gift, she spoke a bit of Korean too. But then she said this, Korean cosmetics are too strong. The scent is too strong. That's what she said. So from what I could tell, there was this feeling that our country's cosmetics was superior. I think there was a bit of that vibe. This was about 7 or 8 years ago. But the product that friend used was stockings. Stockings are what's famous worldwide. The same stockings, but the Japanese stockings imported by Atomy were much cheaper than the ones sold outside, so Japanese people started buying them little by little. Now, among those who are ordering from Japan and trying to start a business, one of my partners, actually a Chinese person, has joined us. But through that person, it spread to Japan, and there is a Han Chinese person there. That Han Chinese person now wants to do business in Japan. As a result, the number of members in Japan increased and sales started to rise. So in the end, we can't say, this country won't work, that country won't work. Culturally, there are some countries that are a bit difficult, but what changed my mind was this. Cambodia is also a country where people earn just a few dollars a month. It's said that even using one of our toothbrushes there is difficult, but a Star Master still emerged from there. What does that mean? At first, only 10 or 100 people came there, but they say that 90% of them quit. But what happens when the remaining 10% succeed? Eventually, everyone starts doing it. So in the end, depending on who gets involved, you can take over that country. So in the past, I used to think, oh, this country won't work because of this. The Philippines won't work because it's too hot. Malaysia won't work because of something else, and so on. But now what I think is I started to judge whether it will work or not by looking at what kind of person lives in that country. Why? If you think about it, New Zealand is also quite laid back, and it's known as the best country for women to live in. It's not like people are desperate or anything like that. But even so, why was I able to make it in New Zealand? It was through Koreans living there that I learned about this value, and I was also lucky. Another important thing is the culture. There, they value the environment, so there are no factories. Without factories, everything is imported. They use Chinese goods, but how is the quality of Korean products? It's good. And Atomi's prices are cheap too, right? That's why it worked there. So it started spreading rapidly over there. So now you all need to start thinking about going global. What do you need to do to go global? You need to change your mindset. How? Depending on who joins, you can take over that country. You understand, right? So now I believe that everything is possible. Everything is possible. Everything is possible. In the past, when it came to Japan, people would say Japan because back then I didn't have a very good experience. So I used to think, it's like this. But now, no. There are Chinese people there and there are Koreans too. But it seems like Chinese people are definitely a bit quicker to catch on compared to the Koreans living in Japan. Now, if you look here, you should also make good use of this platform while considering which country you want to target first and which countries are on YouTube. India, the United States, Indonesia, Brazil, Mexico, and Japan. And for TikTok, it's Indonesia, the United States, Brazil, Mexico, and Vietnam. As for WeChat, it's almost entirely used by Chinese communities. Chinese communities in Southeast Asia, overseas Chinese around the world, and the Greater Chinese Network. If you want to target China, which platform should you use? WeChat is absolutely essential. It's a must. Got it? And then there's Xiaohongshu. Xiaohongshu is also used by Chinese people, Chinese communities in Southeast Asia, overseas Chinese worldwide, and the Greater Chinese Network. Here too, about 90% are Chinese. So if you want to target China, what should you do? You need to use Xiaohongshu. There's also Bilibili. I've only installed the app so far, but basically you can think of Bilibili as China's YouTube. In the case of Xiaohongshu, short videos are about 1 minute long, whereas on Bilibili you can find longer videos. If you want to watch videos that are 5 to 10 minutes long, you should use Bilibili. So in the future, there will probably be times when my lectures are longer as well, right? Then it won't work on Xiaohongshu. So where should I upload it? I should upload it to Bilibili as well. So I installed Bilibili, but since there's so much Chinese on it, my eyes just don't go to it yet. So for now, I just have it installed. But even just installing it is something, right? Just do something, anything. Once you've done that, you need to at least start doing something, even if it's just a little bit. You understand, right? And as for KakaoTalk, it's mostly Koreans. You know, KakaoTalk is used by Koreans, and there are hardly any foreigners, but still there are some users from the US, Vietnam, Canada, and Japan. So if you want to go global, what should you do? You absolutely have to use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and even WeChat and Xiaohongshu.